just a little added extra video this week. I wanted to show you guys a way that I have figured out a way of transforming my older brads that I still like them, but they're not the colors that I probably use a lot nowadays. I had these and they're just silver, they're plain silver, and I wanted to jazz them up a little bit. So I thought, why not, look, we'll just make a video, just a short, quick video to show you how I do it. So what you can see me doing here, so what I'm using is my homemade mica spray. So there is a separate video for that for you to watch and take down the information how to make it. It is super simple, dirt cheap, and basically what I've done is I've grabbed a piece of bubble wrap. You could use anything, but all I've done is put the brads into the bubble wrap so they're standing facing up so I can spray them or paint them or whatever I want to do. So I know it's a little bit difficult to see here. Now when you're doing this, it's better to do a light mist a couple of times rather than doing one big thick heavy coat, because you need it to kind of dry onto the metal. So because these are metal and they're shiny, you need something that's going to adhere to it and stay adhered to it once it's in our scrapbook albums, right? So this is the most foolproof way of doing it. It's probably one of the messiest ways of doing it. If I'm being honest, it's probably the messiest way to do it, but I can spray half a dozen or more in a row. Like I could literally line these things up and, and keep going. I'm just doing a small little amount so you guys can see what I'm doing. So here I'm just going to show you. So that's what it looks like once it's sprayed, and it's literally, because it's made with rubbing alcohol, it literally dries in no time at all. And I just use my heat gun and that's what I do, and it's that simple. So that has taken my shiny silver brads. These are beautiful. They're 6 pointed stars, and I absolutely love these things. But every time I think of using them, I always think to myself, oh, but I don't want them silver. So today, I'm having a bit of a sort of flat day today, just doing lots of admin and paperwork and stuff. So I thought, you know what? I really want to just have a bit of a play with this and see if what I've got in my head will really work. And this works. Totally does not come off, doesn't budge. It stays there. I mean, let's be honest. When you play with once you do your layouts, you don't sit there scratching things to see if you can get color off something. So so that's one way of doing it. So that's my alcohol spray that I make. That's the I call it my homemade mica mist spray, and it's super duper simple, easy to use. Now you can see I've got a couple of different ones down in the bottom corner there. Now this is how I just poke the brads through the bubble wrap just to make it stand upright. This is just old bubble wrap that I've had, I think I had photo albums delivered with this wrapped around them the other day. So, use not, want not, right? So it takes a little bit because this particular brad was being painful. It wanted to separate on me. It was annoying, but I left it in here and I haven't sped this up super speed so you can actually see what's going on. It's a very short video. It's a very quick how-to, but the other thing that I wanted to show you guys is something I've been playing with this on the side, and I wanted to kind of perfect what I was doing before I made a video about it. Now, one of the things that I love brads. Brads are fantastic. We used to use them till I remember going back quite a few years. Every layout had to have a brad on it. Had to have a brad. And it was so incredibly difficult to use them because how do you put a hole in the middle of your page and get it was just painful. However, I think that we do have a place for brads in our arsenal. Is that what we're going to call it? In our crafting rooms. I think it's totally worth it. Now, what you can see me doing down here, it's slightly out of shot. I'm putting some Distress watercolor pencil shavings into my little glass container, right? That I've got there. It's just an old, it came with a dessert in it from Aldi. Just a little, it's easier to mix it with a higher wall on it. So I use gum arabic. This is my gum arabic and water solution. And this is why I wanted to have a play, because I wanted to make sure that it definitely worked. It definitely stuck. It didn't make the watercolor pencils go funny. Because something that I like to do is, and I say this all the time in my videos, if I'm using that gold, or if I'm using, in this case, this is picked raspberry. So if I'm using picked raspberry Distress Oxide on my layout, and I've done all that, and then I get to a brad, and the brad is pink, but it's more like a lolly pink. It's not picked raspberry pink. That does my head in. I do have OCD, and it is something that does my head in. So I'm trying to create a solution. Have a problem, fix the problem. So as you can see, I finally realized that I was slightly out of shot. I'm just using a palette knife to stir it around. You can see the liquid to color ratio there. Honestly, it's when you put the first lot on. Okay, so because it's water based, don't panic when you first put it on. Can you see there how, oh, sorry, my chair's squeaking. See how it's really runny? Don't panic. You just have to get the first little bit on there, and it gives it something to grit onto. I have tried doing gesso on it and then doing this over the top of it, but it looked a bit gluggy. It didn't, I thought the gesso would help it adhere and hang on better, but it really didn't. It was kind of, it just looked chunky. Whereas just using the gum arabic, and you can see I'm just using a paintbrush, and I've got my heat tool, and I'm keeping it at a reasonable distance. I do get a little bit close, and you can see the bubble wrap sort of starts to shrink a little bit, but all I'm doing is just putting thin coats. Remember to do this technique, thin coats. Just a thin coat, dry it, another thin coat, dry it. And because it's like, it's gum arabic, it's water based. So using your heat tool, you can see here I get a bit close. See how it's just going on and it's drying in between each layer, right? Remember, you've got a metal brad, so have a bit of a practice with it with a couple of things. And you could do this with, it's worked with the watercolor pencils, right? So anything that is a high pigment, that is a dry pigment. That's the one thing that I noticed made a big difference for me. So the pigment element, when you're using the gum arabic to get it to stick, you need to use something that is dry. I tried using the Distress Oxide ink itself, and it was just too watery, and it separated. And because, you know, like when you use the oxides, obviously when you wet them, they oxidize. So it was looking a little bit, didn't look right. So that's why I just kept playing with it. Now, I'm not a scientist, okay? I don't have a degree in anything. The only thing I would have a degree in is play, learn, figure it out yourself, and tell others and share it around. That's pretty much what, that's the only degree I would ever have. So if this is something that maybe you've got some brads at home and maybe they're in a god-awful green and you think to yourself, well, I want to paint over them. There was another one that I had played with, and it was, you know how you can get the ones that have the pattern, not a textural pattern, but it looks like an enamel pattern on top. I just got my nail file and I just gave it a very, very light scratch, and this went over it beautifully. These ones that I'm using here and showing you here, this is me just going around the very outside edge to make sure that the entire brad is covered with the colour. So once it's put through my layout, boom bada bing, it'll be all pink all the way around and it'll be perfect. So I've been playing and toying with this for quite some weeks and I'm really excited, and that's why that's what it looks like. Check it out. How cool is that? So that's Distress Oxide, start again. So that one is my mica spray that I use. Pretty cool. Now it's a nice gold, but it's the gold that I like, not just any gold. These ones are when I get it to focus. So the black one is mica with gum arabic, and that's pretty much it. Then I had another play. I had another thought. Check that one out. That is Lunar Paste. Yes, and it dries on there beautifully. Let me tell you, I'm just going to show you how I did it so you can see. It was all after I did all this playing and all this. I've been doing this for a week or two now, and I just thought to myself, I wonder if Lunar Paste would actually stay adhered to the brad so I could change the color of it so I could make it match my layout. And you know what? It works. It works a treat, and it takes maybe 3 minutes to dry. I just did a super thin coat. As you can see, I'm just dipping my finger in there and it's the thinnest coat ever, and it works, which is another massive bonus to using the mixed media Simon Hurley's Lunar Paste. It's another thing you can do with it. So it's not just for putting directly on your scrapbook layout. You can make your old brads come to life and blend beautifully with the rest of your layout. Check it out. That's it. Look at it. Isn't that awesome? If you like this, guys, please like, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Give me some feedback. Do you like it when I play with things like this and then bring it to you and say, surprise, look, you can do this. If this is something you like, I just love tinkering in the background. But this is my point. All these different Lunar Pastes that I've been buying, I now have all those brads that I can colour those colours. It is fantastic. So thank you so much for watching. I will chat to you soon, guys. Like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. Thanks so much. Bye for now.